Hello, and today we're doing a what sold video. I want to first say you see a new space. That's because with baby being here, if you don't know, yes, I had a baby. I'll link the last video with all the updates. It's a little hard to film upstairs. So my husband's upstairs keeping everything under control with baby and the other kids in the household, but I'm down here in the basement because this is what works for now for filming. With that being said, I like to quickly preface everything. When I'm telling you these sales, here's how it works. I like to say the math won't be mathin', okay? The math ain't mathin' because the numbers you get, if you just do the math on those numbers, you won't get the same exact number I'm telling you because there are other variables that we're not addressing, like shipping discounts, other things like that. So today I'm just going to tell you what the item sold for, how much I paid for it, the fees associated with selling the item, and then the gross profit. The gross profit is before tax and anything else. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm a little rusty on these videos, so hopefully this goes pretty well. I won't be telling you how many days it took them to sell because I was reformatting my Excel sheet that I do it in, and I just haven't gotten around to that part, so I won't be sharing that info like usual. Also, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Primelister, which has been an amazing asset to my company for a little over a year now, that I've been using them and thoroughly enjoy them and recommend them. So Primelister has been great through these past few months, more than past few months, honestly, over the past year, with the pregnancy, having the complications it had, and with having the baby, and basically Primelister being a huge part of how I kept everything afloat while I was on bed rest, while I was on maternity leave, while I was dealing with the NICU stuff, all those sorts of things. So I do want to thank Primelister so much for being such an amazing part of my reselling business. Primelister works as a cloud-free option to do all of your Poshmark closet needs. And with that being said, it's truly a set it and forget it type of ordeal. You can go in and set how often you want things to relist, how often you want them to send out offers, what the offers are, how often you want it to share your closet. Everything can be controlled through Primelister for you. It has been such a blessing for me while I've been trying to get my life back together with having the baby. So if you are in the market for a software that can do all of your Poshmark needs, really truly I recommend checking out Primelister. You can go first to do their trial. It is a currently I think week-long trial that you can do for free, no strings attached. You don't even have to put in your payment info, okay? All it requires is your name and your email, and then after that time frame you can use my link down below. Go ahead and use it down below to start the whole process, but the link down below will actually give you 30% off of your very first month with Primelister. So I do recommend them. They are great. You can also throw in the option to cross list, so be aware it can also do that. I really truly believe in Primelister and how amazing it's been for my business, so go ahead and check them out down below. Okay, I think this might be a good place to start. I hope I don't repeat anything from old videos. Sorry if I do. Also, you will notice me, I'm reading off sheets here. The sheets are kind of breakdowns because my computer's upstairs. This is how we have to do it for the time being. So you'll see me looking down some. Okay, so for this first item here we have is the Club Room Estate 2-ply cashmere sweater in extra large. I actually sold two of these back to back, and one was gray, the other one was, actually they're both gray. One was a light gray and one was a dark gray, I believe. But Club Room is a great brand to sell for cashmere. It always sells for me, but the fact that it was the 2-ply cashmere is what elevated it. They both sold for the same amount. They sold for $31.43 each. So on the very first one here, we'll just do the first one, and that is, it sold for $31.43. By the way, if you hear sounds, I live in a house with kids. They're like stomping above me, so I'm sorry if you hear them. I originally paid $6.99 for this one, and the fees were $5.16, plus this one was sold on a promo, which was $1.93. And promo, I mean like where you pay eBay promote your items. So I made a profit of $19.44 on this item. So if you see Club Room cashmere for men especially, get it. It's going to sell. Then the second one here, which was the darker gray, I believe, sold for $31.43. I paid $5.99 for it, which is funny because they're the same exact item. The store just marked them different prices. Fees were $5.37. So, oh, and there was a promo fee of $2.01. So I made $20.98 on this item. Next item we have is an Express faux leather pants, size 10R. They were very skinny and stretchy faux leather pants. So these sold for $29. If I remember correctly, I think these were new attack. The cost for them was just $2.16. I believe this was a bins item, and the fees were $5.71. So I made a profit of $25.77 on this. So I only really sold this item so well, I think, because it was new with tags. I think otherwise it wouldn't have done so great. So do keep that in mind with this item. Okay, next is a Lucy and Yak overalls. They were a size 8R. It was common to see the word dungarees on these, so I put that too because that is, like, I think the Australian word for overalls. They were really cool, and if they were my size, I would have just kept them because I'm really into stuff like this. So I knew that they would sell, and there were plenty in the past that have sold for decent prices. So I sold mine for $57. I had originally paid $8.99 for them, so I did pay up. But I knew that they would sell. The fees were $11.40. This was on Poshmark. You know, Poshmark has, I feel like, pretty high fees. So yeah, $11.40 in fees. I made a profit of $36.31 on, or 61 cents, $36.61 on that item. I think those are pretty obvious why they sold, but I wanted to keep them so bad. Okay, next is a simple one. It's a J. Jill pullover sweater. It was a size 1X, so usually a basic bread and butter. This one came, it sold a little higher for $35, which is not usual. Usually J. Jill for me goes 20 to 30. Yeah, sold for $35. I originally paid $3.99, and on Poshmark the fees were $7, so I made a profit of $24.01, which is really good for J. Jill these days. If you try to get a higher price, J. Jill tends to sit, so I'm always happy when it sells for more, because usually if you want a high price, you're gonna have to let it sit and sit and sit. So usually I let them go for much less, which makes them go faster. Next is a flax item. You guys know I love selling flax, and this was a maxi skirt. It was the Jean Egelhart, well, the tag was different. I'd never seen this. It said Jean Egelhart on it, which I assume is probably like a vintage version of the tag. I don't know, maybe it was a collab. I don't know. I really don't know too much about flax, but it's a great brand to sell sometimes, not always, a good amount of the time. This maxi skirt here sold for $56 on eBay. You guys know Log and Look and Linen, they just sell, especially in the brand flax. So $56 is what it sold for. I paid $3.99, and the fees were $8.58 on eBay. So I made $46.43 on this item. Okay, next is a Talbot's sweater, and it is a size 2X, and it was cashmere, 100% cashmere. And I think that that speaks volumes for why it sold, the size 2X and the cashmere. Okay, and Talbot's isn't like a top priority brand, but it is a brand that sells very regularly for usually bread and butter for me. So with that being said, with it being 2X and cashmere, it definitely elevated this piece, and I made a lot more than usual. I made $44 off of this item, and it sold super fast. We're talking about a very quick turnaround. I do know this sold within like 2 days. So I originally paid $5.29 for this item, and the fees were $7.15 on eBay. So I made $33.65 on that Talbot sweater. So definitely keep that in mind. Cashmere is key, guys. Oh, look at this, another cashmere item. A white Warren cashmere sweater, and it was a size large. Self-explanatory, it's cashmere. It sold itself for $27. And I only paid $2.50 for it, which is great. The fees were $5.40. I made a profit of $19.10 on another cashmere sweater. Next we have a Chico's maxi dress size 3. I still am not a fan of Chico's, so I don't buy it anymore, but this was something that I already had. So this dress though sold for $26 on eBay. Once again, I don't recommend Chico's a lot, so yeah, but I'm still going to tell you about the sale. But I paid $5.29 for it originally. The fees were $5.02. It did have a promotion fee of $1.87. I made a profit of $15.14 on that dress. But I think that that's a good stopping point for this video. I plan to do more in the future, but it is a little hard, but I'll try to do it. But in the meantime, here's another video you guys can check out, and I will see you over there in that video. And please just be gracious with me while I make more videos for you guys. But all right, see you in that video. Have a good day.